Hey guys, this video is about how to set up your interactive student notebooks, whether you're in geometry or algebra 1. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to take your notebook and I want you to make sure you have your name on it. So at the top, you're going to be putting your name. So first and last name, printed clearly, nice and bold. Go ahead and make sure you list which class you're in. So algebra 1 or geometry, and at somewhere it would be a good point to say, hey, I'm in Miss Levan's class. So you can do it at the top, or you can do it in the middle if yours has a space like this, but it needs to be real obvious if any custodian or another teacher, if you left it in their room, if anybody picks it up, I need them to be able to get it back to you or me easily, because this is going to be our lifeline for the entire year. So once you have that done, I gave you table of contents pages. So the table of contents like this. I gave you 4 pages. First, you're going to cut them out along the edge and do it nice and neat. Then you're going to tape them in. Now, when you tape them in, I want you to go ahead and do a real nice job. Glue them in. Glue really holds up better than tape in the long term. So glue them in. Don't put a ton of glue on it, okay? It's hard to write over and it just doesn't take that much. I just glued around the edges a nice thin line. So be real careful. Glue the first page right on the first page. Then make sure pages are not stuck together. The second one's on the back, and then the third one's on your right-hand side, and then the fourth one's on the back of that page. Okay, we're going to use every single page in here, so you can't skip and not do the backs. We're going to use front and back of every piece of paper. So get those glued in. You can press pause if you need to. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to number all the pages. Now look at your table of contents. Look at how it's listed. So notice that number 1 is on the right-hand side. This is page 1, so I need you to write a little 1 down here. Now, we're not going to number all 200 pages. There's 100 pieces of paper, but 200 front and backs. We're not going to number those all at once. We're going to do the first 20. So be real careful. Don't let the pages stick together. So turn your page, and you're going to have the page on the left is 2, and then 3, and so on. Turn the page, 4, and 5. Now, if you look at your table of contents, notice that I have it set up so that it looks just like your book. So when you open the first page, this blank one is your cover, then number 1. When you turn the next page, you're going to have 2 on your left, 3 on your right. Turn the page, 4 on your left, 5 on your right. And I want you to go ahead and number through number 20. Be real careful about the pages not sticking together. That's the biggest problem I had. So number 1 through 20, pause the video, get that done, just down in the bottom corner, use a pen or a marker, and then come back and I'll show you what's next. Alright, so I also gave you 3 pieces of paper with instructions. So the first one was interactive notebook. Alright, so this one you have whether you're in geometry or whether you're in algebra. I have them in both of my notebooks. So the interactive notebook page just explains to you why this is going to be real important to us. I promise you there is a good purpose. You will value this once we get farther in the class. So you're going to cut that out nicely and you're going to glue it nice and neat on this page. Now, the page I have it glued on is page 5. So you're going to go back in your table of contents, and where it says page 5, I wrote interactive notebook. You're always going to put your title right there, because if you get 50 pages in here, it's going to be harder to navigate. This will help you find information fast and efficiently and not be frustrating. So that's the interactive notebook page. All right, your next page that I gave you 3, is notebook guidelines. So on your left, on page 6 is notebook guidelines, and on page 7 is tips for studying mathematics. So you're going to glue them in, you can cut out neatly, you'll glue them in, you're going to go ahead and label the table of contents page. So notice that I had on page 6, over here it says notebook guidelines, and 7 says tips for studying. So I label that, and then maybe go ahead and read them too. There's some important information, especially on the notebook guidelines page. So a quick summary of the requirements are you must have your notebook every day. All right, it must be updated. Everything has to be glued in. You can't just stick it in there randomly. The whole point is so it doesn't fall out. So if it's just stuck in there, I'm going to pull that page out and not let you use it. All right, if you're absent, you're responsible for updating your notebook as we did. Get the information from Google Classroom or from another classmate. You're going to respect your notebook. It's going to be neat. It's going to be kept up. We're going to use a lot of color to help us organize our thoughts and make connections. And the benefit, in addition to this just being a help, is that I'm going to let you use your notebook on tests and on the final. So it's going to be a really valuable resource if you do it right. All right, so that's the setup of the notebook. Just to kind of give you a preview, this is the Algebra 1, and I've only done Chapter 1. I'm making my own, so I have a prototype, so I know what it should look like when I do notebook checks. So, for example, we have a sheet over here that's the basics of solving linear equations. Here I have a flip book that will fill out, everything like that. Then you have another one, all right? It's also really helpful in geometry. I have even more for Chapter 1 geometry. So we're using different foldables that either I've made or I've purchased on Teachers Pay Teachers or I've borrowed from someone. So like we have a foldable right here on some basic geometry definitions. Here's just a page with some important vocab. Geometry is so much going on. This is really valuable. All right, here we have different flaps and foldables and things like that over various formulas. We have some more information here. This one folds out. And then this is pretty much the end of Chapter 1. So just in geometry, we're already to page 15 by the end of Chapter 1. So I promise you, this will help you out a lot. The last thing I have, tip of advice, is if you have duct tape at home, I will try to bring some to school, but like right now, I don't have any in my room. But I'm going to take duct tape and I'm going to wrap it around the spine, one piece going down the spine to really strengthen the spine. And then I might put another piece on the front and then another piece on the back. So I really need to strengthen this because it'll go in and out of your bag and then of course becomes so thick with all this stuff glued in that it will help it last all year long. So if you have questions, let me know. I promise you that you will find these valuable at some point in the year. So let's get them set up right and really start our year off to a great start.